You don't need me to tell you that Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a good game. I think everyone who's been lucky enough to play it already has been able to figure that out by now. And if you haven't, I mean, come on, there's positive reviews everywhere. But what I do want to talk about in this video is how big of a deal the success of Kirby and the Forgotten Land has the potential to be for the Kirby franchise as a whole. Stick around, if you're as hopeless as me, you're gonna find this interesting. You're already applauding, really? I literally haven't said anything worthwhile yet. Allow me to start you off with a bit of a story here. I promise there's a point to all of this. A little while ago, I was driving through my small hometown with my lovely girlfriend of 7 years. For the purposes of this video, we'll be calling her Game Girl 53. On our car ride, we were talking about video games because when you date a YouTube gaming sensation, that's the only thing you're allowed to talk about. Her favorite Nintendo character is Kirby. Mind you, she hasn't played a single Kirby game. She just thinks Kirby is cute and likes choosing him in Super Smash Bros. So she can turn into a kettlebell and virtually crush me. During our conversation, she was talking about her favorite Nintendo franchises, and to my surprise, she didn't even mention the Kirby series. So I said, hey, I'm surprised you didn't mention Kirby since he's your favorite character. And she was just kind of like, oh, well, I was just naming the series I like. Isn't Kirby a Mario character? At that moment, I was obviously surprised, and I of course roasted my girlfriend for being a casual. But this interaction really got me thinking about Kirby as a franchise. How could someone whose favorite character is Kirby not realize that he literally has an entire franchise? Upon looking at the sales numbers for the Kirby franchise, I noticed that Kirby's Dream Land is the highest selling entry in the franchise with just over 5 million copies sold. And it came out in 1992 for the Game Boy. None of the other modern Kirby games even come close to it. 5 million is a big number on its own, but let's think about the sales numbers in the games that casual gamers like Game Girl 53 tend to be more into. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has of course sold like wildfire, selling over 43 million units. Super Mario Odyssey has sold 23 million units, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, well, that's sold north of 25 million units. The difference between 25 million and 5 million is massive. That's a lot of gamers who know Kirby from Super Smash Bros. But may not be too familiar with his other games. I'm not saying that every Smash Ultimate owner doesn't know that Kirby has his own franchise, or would even be interested in playing Kirby in the first place, but what I am sitting here wondering is how many more people like Game Girl 53 are out there within that 25 million. People who haven't been as clued into the rest of the gaming world for their whole lives like I have, and who I'm sure would love so many games and franchises that they've never even heard about, like Kirby. A short time after our car ride, we got the announcement for Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Game Girl 53 basically jumped out of her seat when the trailer was first revealed. She yelled that it was like Mario Odyssey, but with Kirby. She proudly declared that we'd be getting this game on launch day, and she couldn't have been more excited. All it took was a fancy trailer with appealing looking gameplay that reminded her of one of her other favorite Nintendo games, Super Mario Odyssey, combined with her favorite pink blob. And with that, Nintendo had basically guaranteed themselves a sale. In that moment, I knew that this would be the Kirby game that could possibly pull in more of that general gaming audience. More of those 25 million Smash owners who may have never played any Kirby games. What we're seeing with Kirby and the Forgotten Land is sort of a continuation in a trend that we've seen how Nintendo handles their new Switch games, and that's taking their classic franchises and basically giving them the ultimate refresh, invigorating both hardcore fans of the series and casual fans alike. We've clearly seen this in games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was the first open-world Zelda game. Super Mario Odyssey gave us one of the most robust and deep Mario worlds to explore that we've ever gotten. Pokemon Legends Arceus just recently was the first open-world Pokemon experience where we could catch Pokemon outside of battle. All of these games have been wildly successful and well received, and now Kirby and the Forgotten Land is the first ever Kirby-themed 3D platformer. Just the sheer fact that Kirby has finally gotten his long overdue 3D platformer should be enough to propel this game to the top of the Kirby sales leaderboards, and we're already seeing the early numbers to prove this, as Kirby and the Forgotten Land has had a record-setting launch for the Kirby franchise, and is already a better seller than most of the other games in Kirby's backlog. This isn't even taking into account the fact that the Nintendo Switch install base is mind-numbingly massive. So many people have the Switch, and it's almost a guarantee that any new first-party title will sell pretty well. well. Beyond that, this game is just a beautiful bundle of joy. I mean, come on, what Nintendo fan, hardcore or even casual, would see footage from this game and not want to play it? So assuming I'm right about all this, and this Kirby game makes it into the hands of more casual fans than any of its predecessors, the question becomes, does it have the content to hook people into the Kirby franchise long term? Can Kirby possibly join the higher ranks of the Nintendo Bestsellers Club on a more consistent basis after this game? To reach that level, it's that casual audience that has to be satisfied by this title. And after personally beating this game myself, and hearing what GameGirl53 has to say about her experience so far, my guess is that Kirby has a pretty darn good shot of hooking in that larger, long-term audience with this one. Let's quickly take a look at what this game does really well. Right off the bat, when you launch the game for the first time, you have the option of choosing between two difficulty modes, Wild Mode or Spring Breeze Mode. And regardless of which one you choose up front, you can decide to switch back and forth between them as you play through the game. Already we're seeing that this game is prioritizing accessibility, and that's a big plus for the casual crowd. When the game actually begins, right off the bat, we're greeted by gorgeous visuals and silky, smooth, satisfying gameplay. As you progress through the game, you build on your skills and explore new locales, and the beautiful world design really pops. There's something exciting about exploring this post-human civilization-styled world. On top of that, we get a simple, digestible plotline where we get swept off to a mysterious world and have to save all the Waddle Dees who have been captured and thrown into cages. Look at those caged Waddle Dees. I mean, they just look so scared. It's a cool take on what you're trying to grab at the end of a 3D platforming level. 3D Mario games have stars, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom has you collecting golden spatulas, but in Kirby, we're literally saving Waddle Dees at the end of each level. That's just satisfying. As you save more and more Waddle Dees, they work together to build up their home village, which is a very fun thing to watch progress. The village has a lot to offer, like fun little minigames such as working the snack stand or fishing in the little pond. There's even a fun Waddle Dee movie theater where you can rewatch any cutscene from the game. Or there's a boss rush mode that unlocks after you've beaten a few worlds. There's even more options that open up in the village as you progress, but I won't spoil them all here since this game is still pretty new. One of the coolest parts about the village is the Waddle Dee blacksmith, who you can go to upgrade all of those classic Kirby power-ups that you encounter throughout the game. These upgrades are way more than just stat buffs too. We're talking entirely new and unique abilities that have never been seen before in a Kirby game. A couple of cool examples of this are the bomb power-up turning into a chain bomb where you can line the whole battlefield with explosives and blow it all up to smithereens, or the boomerang power-up that eventually gets turned into a buzzsaw shooter. My personal favorite is the Space Ranger power-up because Kirby gets this little ray gun that fires giant black holes that decimate anything within its reach. Also because I like the cool little astronaut costume. These power-ups are really cool, and it provides plenty of new ways to experience the game. This is something that both casual and hardcore gamers alike will surely appreciate. Of course, we can't mention power-ups without mentioning the brand new gimmick in this game, Mouthful Mode, which is honestly a whole lot of fun. It's really satisfying to become a vending machine and fire soda cans at enemies, or suck up a giant ring so you can power a boat by air propulsion. And all the sections where you get to play as Car Kirby really are a lot more satisfying than I was expecting them to be. And these are the kinds of gimmicks that honestly are gonna make casual players extremely happy. The game does get more difficult as you progress into some of the later levels, but like I mentioned before, you can always just change the difficulty or even have a friend play local co-op with you, which is another extremely well done, fun experience. Your co-op partner gets to play as Bandana Waddle Dee. What's cooler than that? I've actually played most of the game in co-op mode with my brother playing as Waddle Dee, and it's been a delightful experience, one that casual fans will definitely love. Nicely designed games will always have a wide variation of ways for you to complete levels and advance through the game, and Kirby and the Forgotten Land has plenty of that. From its upgradable power-ups to Mouthful Mode to being able to switch between co-op and solo. Even though it's a fairly linear game, there's still plenty of ways to experience it. Overall, what I'm trying to say here is that Kirby and the Forgotten Land has all the makings of an instant classic, and with the wider than usual audience that this Kirby game is guaranteed to reach due to its fresh new style and the Nintendo Switch's massive install base, I think this game is going to be one that we eventually look back on and say, that's the game that paved the way for all of our modern Kirby experiences. I have no doubt in my mind that Nintendo will see these numbers and just say, wow, 3D platforming is the future for the Kirby franchise. Now we just have to find a way to convince them to bring back Kirby Air Ride. Well, that's my take on Kirby and the Forgotten Land and the role I'm sure it will play steering the Kirby franchise forward. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Comment down below what you think of the new Kirby game. Also, for those of you who are clearly wondering, yes, it's possible to be a video game mega nerd and still find a partner who loves and accepts you for who you are. If there's hope for me, there's hope for you too. Possibly. No cashback guarantees on that one.